Hey there, everyone. I'm going to do something a little different for the first time today. Something that I actually also meant to do with the channel from the beginning before I found that one of my passions with game music was such a great thing to keep exploring. But I kind of always wanted to try to make it also one of the few channels that reacts to classical music. I really enjoy the few people who do that. Um, and there are some like performances or releases that I've actually known like I want to look at specifically, but I've held off on in the case I could use it for dipping my toes into it as reactions. I will assume this sort of thing will get a lot less views than other stuff that's more popular to look at, but I don't know. I mean, Yunchan Lim is pretty hot right now in terms of like people do search him up, so maybe people found this video. But I am just picking this myself. It's a new video from like only 6 days ago, from a new recording of Tchaikovsky's The Seasons. I have played a few of these. I believe I played two, maybe three, and they're great. They're really good pieces. Tchaikovsky's solo piano stuff isn't my absolute favorite. There's a little bit something missing for me, but overall it's like pretty close to being a favorite. I really do like it. He writes very well for it, and the like standout pieces from the seasons are really good, really memorable, super catchy. And yeah, only 6 days ago, new venture by Yunchan Lim. The context on Yunchan: he was the youngest pianist ever to win the Van Cliburn competition in America, which is our biggest one, I believe. The International Chopin competition is, I guess, like considered the biggest, but it's also just Chopin. So as far as like, you know, not focused on one composer, the Cliburn's really a big deal. And Yunchan Lim just won it at age 18 as the youngest winner. And his Rachmaninoff's third concerto performance there really was great. I really owe it to Ben Lodi, the classical musician and content creator who does wonderful stuff, doing the official Chopin podcast, which is a work of art, incredible artifact of knowledge for our time for the composer Chopin. And he's done some great videos on Yunchan Lim, particularly like what's special about his Rachmaninoff Third Concerto performance from the end of the Cliburn competition he won. And there really are some special moments, very Vladimir Horowitz kind of moments, of which is a pianist who I definitely revere and has some of my reference experiences for certain pieces. So that kind of, I don't know, he has this interesting psychology around like just wanting to go into the mountains and do nothing but explore music and art in like a very transcendental romantic era way. Has kind of a goal to bring back like the golden age of more like personality in piano playing. And I really respect that. As someone who came to it actually self-taught, I have a lot of those kind of perspectives myself too. And he just seems very driven, almost like a man out of time, anachronistic a little bit. Incredible for his age. He might burn out, but recording something like this Tchaikovsky instead of something extremely taxing, like he started with a Chopin Etudes recording, which seemed to be great, but also not always including his like supposed approach as like a kind of golden age pianist. There are moments where he did some of that and other moments where there was a lot of restraint, which is also good. I think it was a good recording. It didn't really replace any of my personal references for any of the etudes, but it seemed really good. But that's also a tough, kind of expected thing, but also a tough thing to launch in and start with. Another young pianist who got famous quickly and started with Chopin etudes would be like a Jan Leszecki, who I've seen a couple times live and known for Chopin, but also like, started very young with a Chopin etudes release on a big label. And yeah, I don't know if that's always like a thing I think leads to good things. People are just always very excited to see an incredible young pianist like conquer the etudes with a potentially new reference recording. Like people do get very excited about that combination of a new star, a new young star. But I don't know. I think it oftentimes isn't super successful. Anyhow, Yunchan Lim started with that, and I kind of like pulling back and doing this Tchaikovsky because it's not so intense. I actually watched a little there's a Tiny Desk concert with Yunchan Lim that has him play, for example, like one of Franz Liszt's Petrarch sonnets, and plays it beautifully on their little upright piano. And again, like focusing on the artistry in pieces that are not pushing the limits of virtuosity, which he already showed he's capable of doing, and then some, which, you know, most classical pianists can do, but like the way he did that concerto is, you know, in that upper echelon of like execution plus art plus perspective. And that's just a live performance for a competition. So, you know, what more can he do in his life? Really exciting, as long as he doesn't burn himself out and damage himself. But really nice to see like pulling back and doing something like this. I'm really curious what it'll be, because this is a piece I've played. I haven't really scoured my library of recordings to do comparative listening for this piece ever. I probably have, you know, 20, 30 records that have Tchaikovsky's seasons. But I haven't ever done comparative listening for them, since I'm not that much of a Tchaikovsky head like I am for Rachmaninoff or Chopin and stuff I do comparative listening for. So I don't have a perspective on like how people play this piece. It's 6 days old, brand new video. It's like his kind of primary like released like public video to spread the word about this new recording. So there's going to be probably decent production here. I'm just really interested. I really am curious what I'll think about this interpretation. I've never done a classical music reaction, so I don't even know what's going to come out of this. Will I don't think I'm going to try to be like critical about interpretation, because I don't think I have a leg to stand on there. But I do have a lot of thoughts about interpretation. Very, you know, focused and strong thoughts and philosophies on the art of piano playing. So maybe it'll be interesting. We'll see. And welcome to all of you who skipped to the chapter for the actual reaction. And that's why I got it there. Not everybody wants to hear me talk for 8 minutes. Yeah, let's listen. Oh, beautiful lights here. Ooh, very slow. So I'm glad to see some rubato being used. Like there's some expression, but also I get the sense that he's trying to keep the initial statement more straight. There's still some push and pull a little bit and some, you know, dynamic choice, but mostly I think he's trying to lay down this first statement flatter than probably he's going to go with the rest of it, which is great. You want to give yourself room for the interpretation to change. I sound a little bit like I'm trying to like grade it, and I'm really not. Like he's 5,000 times like what I'll ever be. I have no idea. I don't even know like how it should be played in order to comment on it. Just talking about my subjective thoughts about the art of piano playing, in which if he's like preparing a bass line from which to go up from, this is like a control group. No need to like overexpress in the beginning when it's just the first statement. Then that would make sense to me, and I'm going to see what he does from here. I feel like if you're going to publish so publicly a video with one piece from the album, that there should be something special about it. So I'm hoping to see like just a really great recording. And I'm sure it is. I mean, he's a wonderful artist. I don't think it could be not special. Okay. Okay, so there were some cool choices here. right there really gives himself the chance to do a bit of a ritardando, a slowdown there, and a decrescendo getting quieter. It's not so excessive that it's like jarring, but it's like absolutely you could play this part beautifully, but without doing either of those things, without slowing down or getting quieter. It could be that it's notated on the piece, actually. Maybe I should pull up the score. Just out of curiosity, it's kind of fun. I don't know if anybody does this with videos on classical music on YouTube. Okay, so I've confirmed. I'm actually glad that I did pull up the music, the score, because we can see that he is making a really intentional choice that I love. This is something I really like. Just straight up doing the opposite of the dynamic notation on the score. Like, if you feel a moment a certain way, it's a living piece of art. Like, you can shape it different ways. Like, especially if you play something over and over hundreds of times in private and you yearn to do something a certain way, it doesn't matter if it's the opposite of something like notated. It's expressive, and it's all about like if it feels convincing, like musically to you, to a listener, or it doesn't, and still fine. Like, enjoy playing the music, but like in terms of rating it subjectively as artistically successful or whatever shit, it's more like, would you yourself or other audience people be convinced about this interpretation? Does it sound good? It's really all it is. Does it sound good subjectively to enough people? And I think this does. But on the score, you can see on this, this rising scale here on the left, the part where my cursor is. You can see he does a ritardando, which is slowing down. He does a decrescendo, which is getting quieter. The music itself just has a crescendo. I mean, what it does have is tenuto markings on all the notes. It has it both times, in fact, both of these scales up, which means you hold it a little longer. You hold on to it a bit more without releasing it. Kind of the opposite of a staccato. So that kind of like these scale steppings with tenuto on every note kind of implies a ritardando, to be fair. Like, that may be more in the score already, even if it's not written that way. It's like you hold on to each one a bit longer. That kind of makes the measure slowing down in feeling. But it's meant to get louder, and he goes much softer and almost stops. So the conclusion there is that he's making a huge artistic choice, the kind that I really like to make, because I play privately for myself like a lot. And when I do, I'm like, who cares? I'm in private. I'm just a hermit playing music. Like, I can make whatever choice I want. A lot of times I have opposite dynamic choices and lots of rubato and stuff because I like it. So this moment that stood out, I wanted to see, is it just in the score? It is not. The opposite's in the score. It's meant to be louder. And he beautifully pulls it off, almost completely stopping and going quieter. And then going louder in the forte that comes right afterwards, but in this lovely descending line. Also that starting melody for the next part also is marked piano, quiet in the score. No accents or anything, and he plays it pretty forte, just the art of playing, like accentuating the notes. A lot of times to get that singing melody, in order to do intonation on different layers, to have a foreground and a background, you kind of have to play some parts louder. It's also very like golden age piano playing sort of, in terms of like what seems to be his philosophy that I've heard from interviews. So starting those few notes loud instead of soft like in the score, in order to make them come over the layer of another layer that's a descending connected line that's also meant to be emphasized and intoned correctly and phrased together like that. So in order to put one line over another line that's already being shown in the forefront and move it to the mid to put another forefront on top, you kind of have to go forte on those notes. Or you can't really make the layers, so you have to go against, again, the opposite of the score. This time the score says quiet, and he plays these notes loud for this express purpose. And it all works. It feels like it's meant to be like that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying these choices. I wonder if he's going to do anything like super crazy. Honestly, he might, because he's made some cool choices already. He really just looks like such an old soul. But most of the time he has restraint. He's not trying to do too much. He's not micromanaging the piece at all. He's choosing his moments to choose something. Ooh, really softly sank into the next harmony there. I really liked that. It goes into a G major. It definitely has that feel. It resolves, ends, that musical section, cadences into the parallel major. It is like a Picardy third feel. It's just that it then moves on and is the new harmony for the next section. But just subtle, so quiet. Whoa, okay. As promised, he's doing crazy shit. Again, if I've done comparative listening on this piece, I might know like what the tradition is of pianists who choose to do this. It could be like half of them do it like this. But what he's doing is he's playing these thirds separated, one note and then separate the note above it. Almost like an arpeggio, but just for two notes. When in the score, they're notated just as regular thirds, but he's doing them separate, the lower note first and then the upper note afterwards. Helps to kind of accentuate the top one for the melody. So that's a huge different choice, which again, there may be a legacy of pianists who do it, or it's a common choice maybe. I don't know. All I know is it's very different from the score, and it's not what I've done. And I love that. Also, this whole section does have it gets louder little by little, so we'll see if that kind of happens from piano to forte. I don't think it needs to. I think you could play this however you feel dynamically. But yeah, I love the little effect going on here. So yeah, as promised, getting crazy. Interesting. Great crescendo there. Yeah, it doesn't actually even have a crescendo at the point where he did his most obvious one. It's just forte straight in that section. It builds up prior to it, but he does the crescendo later and does it beautifully, really obvious in that point, and it's just his own feel for the music that the end of that passage needs. A lovely crescendo. Where was it? Right here. Yeah, big crescendo. Very legato. Interesting. Okay. It's supposed to go to double forte and have a poco ritenuto, so it's an immediate reduction, but little by little. So I don't know. I guess essentially a ritardando, just slowing down. But he really just kind of waits and like does a long hold before the last arpeggio there. I didn't even know it was coming. I actually kind of forgot. It has a fermata, but after that, it almost felt like he did a fermata before that. Yeah, it's such a wait for the last one. He really, very intentional choice. I mean, it's partly because the ones before that are all eighth notes, and then the last two are quarter notes. So like that second to last one with a longer wait, it does have twice as long a duration as all the ones before it. So it makes sense there's a longer pause there, but it feels really intentionally long. Bigger gap there. Draws attention to it more. And obviously the last couple notes, he's really hitting that top note, which I think is a great choice. I think it really makes the a little bit more of a connected melody at the top of it. I think it sounds really good. So as expected, his like his intonation of like his inner melodies is really good. There's one specific one at the start here that I mean, it's part of how you play it normally, I think, but I don't think you could do better than this. Let me see it. Yeah, that inner melody, that, I mean, it takes the forefront for a second, but it's easy to not have this come out that well, and it's just stunning. Yeah, that lower melody's so prominent. Yeah, sounds amazing. But we'll keep going. Hear the section again. We'll see if he does the same decrescendo. He does. Once again, it says crescendo in the music. And let me hear again, like, what does he do? I want to hear the left hand voice here. Okay, he doesn't do the left-hand voice too crazy. It's interesting that the score keeps showing these arpeggiated chords that go in the right hand underneath as you play the main melody at the top. And he always plays them solid without arpeggiating them. But I feel like these arpeggios are very weird. Like, maybe they'd sound cool. I am a big fan of adding arpeggiation where it isn't, especially when it separates notes so that you have a clearer melody at the top, which is what's happening here. So I do kind of agree, if this is Tchaikovsky's stuff and not like an editor or some other publication of it interpreting something or changing or adding, performance markings. If it is Tchaikovsky, then I agree with the point of this, to help like the top note in these melodic shapes stay prominent. But I still think there's something kind of awkward about it. Although I guess that's kind of how I feel about Tchaikovsky's piano writing in general. Like, there's something a little less organic about the way he writes for the piano compared to, a compatriot like Rachmaninoff or someone like Chopin. So I guess it wouldn't surprise me if this was a little clunky. I don't know. I feel like also I'm in no position to criticize someone like Tchaikovsky, but I can say why I subjectively feel a certain way. I don't know how many times I have to make that disclaimer. I just feel like I should, in case anybody accidentally thinks I think I know better. But yeah, that kind of makes sense to me why to do it, but also why it seems a little awkward and why Yunchan is choosing not to do it, just playing these as block chords the whole way through. But on to the next different section. A lovely middle melody. Love this part. Crescendo's up and then back down. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, really lovely, great dynamics. Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing with Yunchan is that he has sometimes these golden age piano playing like qualities and things that are like explosive or virtuosic. He has done, and you can see in some of the his performances. But on the whole, I feel like he's one of the least flashy superstars. Like, he really tries to not be flashy at all. So when it happens, it feels super authentic. Like he's purely doing it for the music and not because he wants to impress anybody. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to impress people. If you're talented, skilled, worked hard, you have virtuosic skills, and you just want to blow people's minds with flashiness, like, go for it. I think that's awesome. I don't think it's a good thing to criticize people for putting on a show. But I understand that there's different archetypes of people, and he happens to be one who, to me, seems like very happy, like not needing to stand out until he feels it's really important. And there's a few moments where he did his own thing. For the most part, he played as written beautifully, but not, I don't know, it's like not trying too hard is how I might describe this performance. Good with some individuality to it, but also just not trying too hard. I mean, trying hard in terms of like, it's perfect. Not like he's not giving enough effort in that term, the meaning of that phrase, but not trying too hard. Like, not attempting to make more of it than it needs to be. Which is cool. I mean, I would have been happy either way if he really pushed the boundaries hard on this piece for some reason. That might be a little weird, but if that happened, I would be pretty excited about it. It would be interesting. But also, like, being restrained is cool too. It was lovely. So that's cool. I'm interested in seeing the recording when it comes out. I might listen to it. I don't know. I'm not the hugest Tchaikovsky fan, but there's a few pieces like this one that I do really like. It was great. And I might look at some more classical music sometime. This one was a little bit fairly plain compared to what I could explore classically for stuff I want to listen to still, like, Medtner or Capucin piano concertos. Like, there's some intense stuff I'd like to explore, but still had a lot of thoughts. It was kind of fun to analyze this. Maybe I should have had the score up at the same time instead of having to change scenes in the recording, but it is what it is. I'll post and I'll see if anybody watches it. Maybe I'll get 10 views, and maybe 5 of those people will find it interesting. And that's enough. Until next time, maybe I'll do more of this. Peace.